Welcome to Sneaker University, the one place where you can learn the entire process of sneaker design from scratch. 10 steps from thumbnail sketching, engineering, CAD development and rendering for presentation, outsole design and drafting, and spec and pattern construction drawing preparation, to pullovers and prototype perfecting, and production sample confirmation, including every other step and stage in between. Learn from a pro. I'm Cyrus L. I perfected this process over the span of my career in the footwear industry, with over 10 million pairs of kicks sold, hundreds of designs created and produced. I came into the industry as one of the top artists in the country, and I learned to parlay my artistic ability into pure industrial design and engineering, and quickly earned a name as a great designer working with endorsed athletes as the director of basketball and cross-training at one of the major brands. And now, well established with my own brands, you can learn this lost process from the best in the industry. Let's go. Class is in session. Welcome back to Sneaker University. This is episode number 4, colorway creation. On our first episode, we showed you how to build a thumbnail, which is the soul of a sneaker design. In episode number 2, I showed you how to engineer your thumbnail to bring it to a large size, actual size drawing, handmade drawing by hand. In episode 3, I showed you how to take that handmade final drawing and imported it to the computer. So now for episode number 4, now that you have your CAD and you're ready to actually create colorways, I want to talk about how that's done. And generally, I always lead with my philosophy. When it comes to coloring sneakers, generally I let people know that in order to you want to always aim high when you're designing any sneaker. You want to make it for pound for the category that it's in. You want to make it better than what's out in the market. This is the nature of design. This is what you always want to work to advance the art. And in the way that works with colors is you generally don't want to just do generic colors that have been seen. You're not going to excite anyone by doing something that's been done. And in that way, it takes kind of, some hindsight or a general understanding for what has been done. Luckily, I've been in the sneaker industry, 20 plus years, 25 plus years. I stopped at 25. It's actually more than that because it ain't nothing to brag about, past 25 years. It's a long time. But I've seen a lot of different things. Seriously, I've seen a lot, over the course of time. I remember generally like in the 90s, there was a certain, trends in terms of colorways. I remember the era when, collegiate colors were, fascinating on sneakers because sneakers and boots and pretty much everything because it was still fresh. But then it dried out, and there became an era where something new needed to be done. I remember the era, I think Adidas might get the credit for introducing multicolors, where they started, it's like a brand new thing where you could, as many colors as you could fit on a shoe and harmonize on a shoe, you could put on a shoe. Contrary to production method, good sense, which you got what they call minimum quantities when you're building shoes. Is a minimum that you can order of a certain color of a material. But that aside, that's a discussion for later. Multicolor became a big thing. It was new. And then pastels and brights and this and different combinations, reaching ever higher and higher for something that would look different because it was different in terms of colors on shoes. And that's generally my philosophy. I always like to try to find a new combination. something that hasn't been done. And I use my long view of the history that I've seen over the last 25 plus years to know what's been done. I try to keep track. Today is pretty hard because there's a lot of innovating being done on colors. New materials, every possible type of material has been done. And if you don't know, then, you fall into the trap of maybe doing something that's been done. As much as possible, you want to try to be original. But then you juxtapose that part of my philosophy with just, the reality that sneakers ultimately are made to be worn. So there's another half that counterbalances that cutting edge philosophy with just practical use colorways. Stuff that you can wear with everything. It's funny, before Virgil made black and white a whole thing, I probably discovered, trying to think when that might have been, 10 years ago. I'm trying to think when I began. I've got shoes that go back to the 90s, like the Gondola, that were based out of black and white. But probably, I think it was around, it might have been around 2010 that I realized, black and white matches, hooks up with everything. And that's kind of the essence of the practicality side of my color philosophy, is coming up with colorways that just hook up well, that look good, that, I'm a big, huge fan of red, white, and blue. I'm an American citizen, but how many flags around the world have red, white, and blue in them? So when is red, white, and blue falling out of trend? Probably never. Same thing as camouflage is another color combination that probably has not gone away for never goes out of style. Probably will never go out of style. How that works, olive is just a great color. I don't know, but it's true. Camo never goes out of style. And again, in this side of the philosophy, sometimes you want to build a shoe that just is right. It just matches. It might be an old color combination, but you can maybe put a twist in the factoring of creating a great shoe. The selection of the panel that you color has a tremendous effect. Whether you put red here or there, on the toe cap or on the midsole, on the outsole, on the eye stay, or not, makes all of the difference. And that is an art in itself. That's a true skill in itself. Not going to be able to get too far into that. I'll probably stumble across it a couple of times throughout this episode, but that's the second level of design. I'm trying to give you the basics first, and then finally, in terms of colorways development, you have to understand that there are certain color combinations that always sell. There's a list of popular color combinations, and they're based on rank. Rank from the top selling color combination all the way down to maybe the 10th or the 15th, including colorways like white. All white may be the top selling colorway of all times and may always be. All black. Toggles are sometimes with white, if I'm not mistaken, and will always be the number 2 or number 1 at times color combination. Can't go wrong. Always will sell. Need to know that when you're working with other companies versus working for yourself, where you can do what you want. You can take a little bit more risk. You can say, I refuse to have black, or I don't need it right away. If you're working for another company, that sales team's going to demand it. Give me my black. Give me my white. White and navy, probably number 3. White and black now are arguably vying for that position, number 3. Red, white, and blue, somewhere right after that. 5, maybe the 5 position. Black, white, red, 6 position. Black, royal, 7, so on and so forth. I think that's kind of like the top list. And once you get down into grays, it's a little different, depends on the brand. You get down into your navy whites, ain't for everybody, but it's a popular selling color combination, so on and so forth. So let's get into, this episode. I'm not going to do a whole lot in terms of holding your hand and showing you how to actually create a colorway on a CAD. I already showed you how to build your CAD drawing in the last episode and pretty much how to manipulate it. What I'm going to generally do is kind of just speak a little bit of philosophy. The best way to understand colorways is just to hear a little bit about the philosophy. Like what I just gave you is the core. So we're going to get into the process. Before we do that, it probably would be smart to give you some fundamentals. For those that know me, my background is I am a artist, visual artist, painter. I was top in the country coming out of high school based on my ability to paint. I was an classic oil painter. Maybe not classic, classic, but impressionist format. And so my understanding of color was a little advanced. I was taught, I went through tons and tons of specialized junior high school. I actually was pulled out in elementary school, but definitely heavily specialized in junior high school. So I was introduced into color early on. But when I got to Pratt, I remember being, explained again what I learned in high school for sure about the color wheel, your primary, secondary, and tertiary colors and the way that they interrelate. So, as a painter, you got to know in order to get orange, you got to put, two primaries together, which is yellow and red. In order to get purple, you got to put your blue and your red together. And green is blue and yellow. That's the difference between your primary and secondary colors. And tertiary, and everything else comes out of those six, and it expands, and you get your color wheel. And you've got complementary colors and opposite colors that do all kind of different tricks visually and whatnot. Learning how to paint, I learned how to swap out generic colors. So if I'm going to paint dirt, I used to do a lot of paintings, famously dog races and horse races, or moving objects, bikes. If I'm going to paint dirt, I might not paint it brown. I'm going to use pink. I used pink or yellow, and it works like dirt optically. Don't ask me how, but it makes the painting a little bit more exciting. I don't like, in painting, you have to avoid using black and white. You got to figure out some other color, blue or something to use other than black and white. If you're painting skin and you're painting brown and flesh color, you're still entry level. Or at least by the format that I use. So that actually gave me an advantage in terms of color. What I want to introduce you to is the Pantone book. Let's go into let's talk shop for a second. When you are building sneakers, as we get closer to your tech pack preparation, which we're just on the verge of that. Once we finish our colorways, we get to work on designing the outsole, which is technically a part of your tech pack, which ends up with you end up with the blueprint drawing for the outsole, midsole, and any hardware parts. When you get into the specs sheets, you're going to have to assign a color for every component. And that color, done professionally, needs to be assigned to what's called a Pantone. It needs to be assigned to a specific color range. And there's a book called the Pantone book that's designed to be able to do that. And it's used in the design industry, fashion design, footwear design, and then probably everything else. I've never done transportation design or furniture design yet, but I'm sure that the Pantone book, Pantone, and there's a company called Pi-Ho that actually does color, specific color samples, but it's based off of threads that can be used. Pi-Ho, I believe, makes a lot of thread, but you can also use a Pi-Ho sample to specify color. But most people use a Pantone book. So Pantone books and fans are, kind of like a catalog of color. Very carefully clicks through a range of color and assigns a number called a Pantone number for every color. And if you're going to make purple, you want to know what type of purple. You develop your color palette. And you begin to have standard colors that you can go to for red, or for green, for your royal blue, your navy blue. All of your colors have a specific value that you assign to it based off of this Pantone system. And it's as simple as that. If you don't have a Pantone book, talking about tools of the trade, get yourself a Pantone book so you're ready. Once you have a Pantone book, get yourself a color palette. Most people probably redo the color palette every season. You know what I mean? Because colors do go in and out of trend. And your color palette, which is a sheet of paper that has a certain collection of colors on it, should reflect that. Finally, speaking of color palette, so if a Pantone book is the directory that you draw colors from, that should have every color that you can dream of, and your color palette is roughly the trend of colors that work and don't work, and you have a narrow group with a very dialed-in set of Pantone numbers for each of the colors that you use. Next, if you're expert, you probably want to develop a kind of like what do I call them? Color groups. Color groups. I'm going to be talking a little bit later on about color packs, right? You should know what a color pack is when you deliver a shoe or a collection, small or large collection. You have these things called color packs, where you might have an offering of shoes that come in camo, or an offering of shoes that come in cream, or an offering that come in your navy white or your red, white, and blue. They're called color packs. They're based off of your color groups. And so you create the color groups by, deciding. You do shop the market and you say, okay, I noticed that this type of colorway is happening right now, so I'm going to have it, and it works for a couple of shoes. So you know what? I'm going to have it more than once. I'm going to have a pack. Like a couple of years ago, you remember everyone was doing the acid yellow became a thing, and you could maybe have a pack of acid yellow. You maybe want to have a pack of camel pack, so on and so forth. So you need your you need your color groups in order to be able to do that, generate a formula. And they don't always have to be the trending colors. Sometimes you just go on the edge and you create it. I believe you create the trend sometimes, And last parting thought before I go directly in, just kind of waxing philosophic. Speaking of these trends, this is in now it's not in. Red is happening, it's not happening. Well, me being a highly specialized in sneakers, and knowing that sneakers, as I've said over and over, are the one product in the world that sells better 40 years after they were first delivered, right? Like the Stan Smith, came out in 1970s or so, and that white and green still sells today. Same white and green. Not a big fan of the blue collar or the tan collar, any other collar. I want the white and the green. Matter of fact, you play with the outsole too much, might not get it. Same with the Chuck Taylor, all white. Chuck Taylor, black and white. Same with the Superstar, a.k.a. Adidas Shell Toe, white and black, white and white, whatever. Forums, Top Tens, Puma Clyde. I can go on and on. The Timberland, those colors don't go out of season. So what is, this whole, I think shoes are a little different, is I guess what I'm trying to say. They don't really go out of style like that. The Jordan 1 is always going to work. Jordan 5, Jordan 1, black red, or white red for that matter, is always going to work. Jordan 5, white, black, red is always going to work. Silver is going to always work. So on and so forth. So I said all that to say, do you really have to worry so much about picking a color that's quote-unquote not trending? Not with sneakers. So as you can see from all of the different, images that have been flashing across the screen while I'm, kind of just kicking a little game, these are all shoes that I've built over the years. I've colored. There's an old way in the gondola I showed you. Those are handmade drawings. That go back to like '96. And there's a new way with CADs, which is the Fila collection that I'm going to use as an example, presented in 2017, and then all kind of other shoes. These are all shoes that have, I think, are cool colorways, or examples of how a successful shoe with cool color works. And now I want to get into the process of actually generating these colors, because it is, although it's fairly simple, it's too simple for me to sit here and walk you through. Okay, this is how you do one, develop a colorway. I'm going to show you notes from colorways that were generated. It's at once simple, but it's also very, per what I just said, it's somewhat complicated. You do want to avoid just being too straightforward and just, when you slap your CAD down there, you pop one color in there and you say it's done. You got to learn how to stir. I'll use the word, I'm going to coin the phrase, stir your colorway a little bit. You figure out you want a green shoe with white. Don't just slap the green anywhere, slap the white anywhere, and then say you're done. Look at it and try to really, sift through where the green should go and where the white could go until you get an instinct. You'll develop an instinct where it should go. So let's get into that part. This is a presentation that I did for Fila back in 2017. This is a collection of sneakers I put together. A lot of these shoes I've been using as a theme and examples in the earlier episodes, so you may find the Mach 5 you're familiar with. I'm going to go into some detail with the Avalanche. So I presented these colorways in packs in this presentation, as well as individual shoe colorways. For those that are not familiar, color packs, like a new thing that started maybe 10 years ago, where you would deliver a collection and each of the shoes, or many of the shoes, come in the same colorway. So this classic pack is my favorite color combination, which is red, white, and blue. So the Mach 5, Milano, Champagne Racer, Da Vinci Sport, Low, and Mid, as well as this Avalanche boot, all come in this red, white, and blue colorway, which I'm pretty aggressive with red, white, and blue. There's a number of different ways you can do red, white, and blue. I call it Olympics sometimes, and add additional colors in. In this particular case, I added this walnut, these natural leathers into accent. On an Avalanche, you got this walnut panels. Champagne Racer has a nude touch on the collar, and the Milano has a peanut leather colored eye stay. And then there's a vintage pack, which has a few of the shoes. Part of my philosophical approach when you're doing colorways, you don't want to do every possible color on every shoe. So this pack actually has the shoes that work the best with this kind of a vintage look. A lot of people do that. They think you get a shoe and you start churning off every color in the rainbow. You become a little bit more adept at design. You only actually make the colorways that really work, and you want to try to limit to a small cluster of about 4 to 5 colorways is a strong delivery, not 10. That's my opinion. That's Cyrus' opinion. So this vintage pack, creams, you got the Avalanche and these other 3 styles, and also a heritage pack. The difference between the heritage and this vintage, whereas the vintage speaks to the classic tennis shoe color that Fila had in the 80s, late 80s, I believe. I forget the name. This heritage pack actually, speaks to not only some of those creams, but the Italian heritage, Italian flag heritage, being that Fila was obviously an Italian brand. Cream outsoles, cream on the upper of the Mach 5, pretty dope package. And I think it gets into individual color groups. This is the Mach 5, which I previewed earlier on. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna jump over to my Illustrator and then show you how some of these colorways were actually developed. So as I said, I utilize this system where you'll start with this is the Avalanche boot in that Fila delivery that year. This was what the final line drawing started off like. This is what I ended up with after I took my final line drawing and imported it into the computer for for a computerized final line. And then I took that and I basically, just going off of instincts, I realized that the boot works well in gray. It worked well, and I could do a black version. I could do some type of a brown, and I could do some type of a blue. But from there, I ended up discovering this kind of a red, black and yellow combination. I think while I was kicking around with this black version. But the way that this one ended up working out is, for example, starting with the gray, this is the final version, but in order to get to this, I had tried multiple combinations of gray. Gray works well with black, and white. Gray works well with a little touch of red, white, and blue, which is probably an introduction to how I discovered that this final version, which has the red, white, and blue. It has a lot more navy in it. I experimented with this gray boot with just mostly red and black. Pretty cool colorway. Like I said, I don't do every colorway that's possible. I do the best colorways that are available, and that just takes doing colors to a whole nother level. When I was developing this, I'm sure there were probably 5 or 6 other increments in between, maybe, of developing this boot. Like on the same format was used for the cream. There was enough variations that dropped off. This black and red dropped off. There was like a version of this that was probably based around the same formula as the yellow and black that was royal and black that dropped off. But so out of these grays, this one to me, it's all about having an eye to know what is better. A little more blue, a little less blue. Blue where? Red where? And this one, and that's another lesson for another time. That if this is 101, that's like, the next level class up. Knowing how to not only just color a shoe and use this format of selecting the best of the colors, but really knowing how to choose panels. We'll probably be repeating that several times throughout this episode. This blue to me was clearly, for multiple different reasons, as I just said, was the best of the grays. And it is. That's a fire colorway. So over here it's the same formula. I knew I wanted to do some type of a black, taking a hint at the, just so I can remind myself, with the Avalanche, these actually ultimately ended up being the colorways that were selected, so that basic black did make it. You see the navy there. You see the, you see your navy, red, white, and blue, part of that classic pack. You see the gray we just went over, and you see these colorways were selected ultimately. But in the process of coming toward that, so I looked at the basic black. That was the top version. Did I do any versions of black? I don't think I tried any black with. Got a little bit of charcoal gray in there. Maybe I didn't try a whole lot of blacks. I do know that this yellow and black came out of the development of the black. Sometimes you could be in the middle of, maybe while I was, you always want to pay attention as you are going through variations for colorways. You might be building a black shoe, right? I might have been building this black one from the my basic white final line drawing, right? And in the process of taking all of the panels and one by one changing them to black, I realized when I clicked on these couple panels over here, or maybe these yellow panels, they were the last two to get switched, and I saw something in that moment, like, hey, wait a minute, if you just leave those yellow, that's kind of fire. And these are variations of them. Maybe you just keep the eye stay piece. I think ultimately the eye stay piece made it to the final. So I discovered this, let's say this is a color blocked version of the black by just building a black shoe. You got to know how to stop yourself in the mid process. Yeah, you're making a black shoe, but did you just see what happened when you left these panels white? Let me ungroup this real quick. It might have been when the colorway was like almost black about here, that I said, hey, wait a minute, before I finish making this shoe all black, let me copy and paste that version and put it to the side. There's something there. And as you get really nice at this, I probably immediately knew it. Not that I necessarily want to make this boot black and white, but I can pop some other color in there. Point of information, the Avalanche is actually, I always try to build boots that have a little bit of pizzazz with them. And this one, I think I was kind of channeling snowboarding in this trekking or hiking boot. And this is a discussion about categories. Again, next season we'll get into some philosophy about how do you what's the difference between categories: boots, construction boots, and hiking boots, cross training and running and basketball. Each have their own different considerations. So in hiking, I didn't feel like you needed the white and black hiking boot, but I realized, since I'm channeling snowboarding in my hiking boot, yeah, pop some bright colors in there, it'll be fire. So that's how the that black and yellow came about. So you want, point being, you want to pay attention as you're coloring. You always discover stuff accidentally. You know, when something shows itself to you accidentally while you're on your way to make some other color, the beauty of the computer, you can copy it and keep doing what you're doing, but paste that random idea somewhere where you can come back to it later. So that was the black version. In the cream version, I went through several different, I think that's the final, but I looked at this, I looked at it like that. You know what I mean? This ain't bad, this is kind of cool, but to me, does it, you know, which one is more unique and a little bit more powerful? I felt like this one was. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, for a lot of reasons, I'd be here waxing philosophical all day, while this is a little bit better than even that one. I forgot which that one is better than this. You know, that black version, cream and black, is better than this. You know, where I even introduced a little, this has a vulcanized mud guard on it. You know, this is a carbon fiber exoskeleton, or if you will, would be basically vacuum metallized,
shrink wrapped.
So it has that carbon fiber type of look, and in the rubber outsole. That done in goes off. It's like a almost dark peanut color. With the cream, it's not as nice as this one. That's why it's on the bottom of the list. And this one is probably a little bit better, but that's the best. So instead of putting all 4 colors in, I put only the best. The black feeler flag with the red, white, and blue details on the logo, straight fire. In my opinion. In my opinion, is usually pretty accurate. So over here, the brown family one, this one ended up being the best. But I was looking at, which is, did this make the colorway? Let me jump over. Yeah, I think that did. Nope. Yeah, it did make it. This one made it in on an all brown. There's a vintage version of it that has some of the natural in there, but there's one that's just a brown boot. So that is the that's the one that won. That's like a peanut or almost like sand colored panels with brown, like a bark brown upper, won out over this version, which is a little bit deeper on the body panels, right? That's definitely cigar at that point, with the same brown, red, white, and blue. Not as nice. Close call with these two. I do remember like trying to decide which one was better on a boot, you know what I mean, versus this kind of a generic cigar color. I feel like that this sand is just more, it's just fresher for some reason. If you can see it, you know, you can see it. If you don't, you don't. Just a degree better. This one ended up making the cut. Clearly, this was one of the browns that actually made it in, so I threw 2 of the browns in because they were just both that dope. This color right here is fire. And then over here, this was a variation of the blue. I don't know why it's separated from the other one, because it doesn't have the brown, those natural leather body panels. It's good color. Just not my caliber. Me, I like to be a lot better than everybody. So I want the best colorway, not just a good one. You know, same thing here. These 2 versions, it was kind of going back and forth, and I realized that this with this yellow eye stage, just a little more striking than this one is. It's pretty cool. If I had to pick between the 2, you got to be able to pick. This one is worthy of not deleting. A lot of versions, of course, didn't even make the cut. They got deleted. They got put off to the side. This is definitely worth keeping it there so I can look at it in the morning and see was I right. But ultimately, I feel after a lot of contemplation, this is clearly the better version. This is how you do colorways. And these 2, this is a version of, since I had a black and yellow, it's called a formula. This is a formula for this boot. Remember that. When you're doing colorways, you're looking for the hidden formulas inside of any sneaker design. You might have blocked it when you were sketching. Remember the thumbnail sketch? Sometimes you do your basic color blocking. You want these panels to pop out. Sometimes you just you didn't discover it in your thumbnails. There was some other spirit that was enough to make the shoe in the thumbnail drawing, but then you discover a formula that you didn't see at this stage while you're mixing and going through the colorway combination, potential colors. And it's all about knowing, what panel wants to be popped, which panel wants to be left alone. Do you want the toe to be popped like this, or nah? So this, in discovering that formula, I tried the formula in royal blue, looked at it like, these are cool colors. Some people would say they would prototype this and mass produce it because they're blind and they don't realize less is more. You know, you offer too much out into the market and people can't decide. You need to decide for them. And when you decide, make sure you decide the best, the undeniable purchase. There it is right there in that formula. This come along next season. I'm gonna show you in another shoe how you can go from season to season and add in colors. You can extend a particular formula. This is using the same formula. But right out of the gate, nah, you don't blanket. You don't blanket. Every colorway that you can't make. That's, to me, that's the sign of a novice, right? So that's how that came out. So let's go to another one real quick. And I'm gonna go a little faster on this one. This is the same process done with the Mach 5, right? Trying to discover the this colorway. You know what I mean? I went through, this is a variation that get kicked to the side. That's still pretty kind of cool, but I'm not gonna do it out of the gate. I probably would do that at some point, but not out of the gate. This nice clean classic is far superior. This one actually made the cut. There probably are not a lot of reject. This was rejected though. Pretty cool. We do that at some other point. Pretty cool. We can do that at some other point. This is one of the, hopefully somewhere else on this episode I'll go over the standard color combinations. I'm sure I did. This is pretty cool. Look at that. A light ash body and pure white outsole everywhere else. Sick. Didn't make the cut. Pure white. White with navy is the number 2 cut. Remember, white navy is like number 2 or 3 in the list of, what they call surefire purchases, or these colorways always win. White always wins. All black always wins. White navy usually wins. Almost always wins. Did it make the cut? Nah. Fire. I think this made the cut. Let's go to the these are the finalized ones that I selected and presented for the Mach 5. Which came in a lot of colors. That's one of them. This is like a secondary color group here. But actually, when you look at the one on Illustrator, this is actually the that didn't make the cut. This is a version of the one that did. So going back to that, so you can see the eye stay underlay and the eyelets actually were not popped in the final. I think the eye stay underlay wasn't, the eyelets were. So this will be the final. This is the one that made the cut. And I was looking closely to see which one was better. The one with the white vamp. White vamp, white ice, a little bit more clean, whiter, a little bit more clean, and with the white, and I think it's better than this one. This is pretty cool, but this one is better. Can you see that? That's what you want to develop, that eye version. Look at it later and tell me if I'm wrong. I ain't wrong. It's an instinct that you develop. You have to develop. If you're gonna win, you got to develop the instinct to know which one of these two is better. Think about when you go to buy it, you pull it out of the box, you got to hook it up with your clothes. I think that's a part of it. Which one is going to hook with clothes better? You know what I mean? If I'm going out and it just has more of a summery feel, this is going to match with all that white. You wear a white shirt. White is always going to be a hot color. This matches better. This is a little bit too dark. You know what I mean? It's cool, but it's just not. It's not as good. And sneakers, remember, sneakers last forever. Sneakers are the one product that sell better 40 years in the. Better 40 years after when they were released. So this colorway is going to always exist this way, and this is the superior color because forever that's going to hook up nice. This was a version of those that got kicked out. I ended up using it and actually, by the way, this is the original line drawing. See, the original final line drawing of the Mach 5, which is used most of the time as I start a new color combination. Like over here we go to gray. That's used. Let me speed it up a little bit because we showed this kind of thinking process. I'm going through the thinking process. I don't want to go too far into the weeds. This is the superior gray. There's a gray version here, but I looked at a black and white. To me that's okay, fairly average though. A little bit too average for Cyrus. You know what I mean? I don't like average. You want to avoid average. I like this black and white. Let's see, did it make the cut? For the presentation, I can't remember. I mean, looking at that now, I've always been a big fan of black and white, but do we need it on this particular running shoe? Sometimes, and no, it didn't make it. I used this little gray flag and a white outsole. Because sometimes if you got a good color combination, I can't say that's the exact thought behind this, like black and white. You don't want to overdo it and use it on every shoe. Sometimes you don't. Maybe I didn't. You see, I didn't present a black and white pack for Fila in 2017. I don't think Fila needs necessarily a black and white pack. The packs that I presented were enough. So because this is a pretty cool color actually, and I would rock these myself personally, but didn't make the cut. This is close. All black with the gray. Didn't make the cut. All black on the Mach 5. I don't think I did all black. This will eventually be done. Do I need the first season when this shoe comes out to come out in all black? Which nah. I could save that for next season. A lot of people may disagree because again, black always sells. I said wins, but I meant sells. White always sells. White navy always sells. But do I need it? Do I want it in my collection or straight out? Nah, not really. I ended up going this route, if I remember correctly. There's the final black version. All black with the gray, with the white sole. I feel like that's got a little bit more character, right? And then one more. These are how that other cat. I must have figured out this formula at some point, probably playing around with this black, or at some point in time, maybe playing around with this version. I discovered this formula, which I liked enough that remember it became a second delivery. There is no all black in it. This delivery comes from, actually it looks a little different. So red mudguard counter, it's like a mudguard look. It's basically metatarsal head toe cap counter, but it plays the role of like a red mudguard, black upper, white flag, white and red midsole. And that same formula used here in royal blue, and then actually this dark blue somehow made the cut in the secondary, in the second delivery. So this black one, is it the same? Yeah, it's the same thing. And back over to this navy blue version, actually ended up making the cut in that second delivery. So I discovered this formula, and let me see how many colorways I looked at it. I saw it in royal blue. I saw it in yellow. This one didn't make it. Although you saw that the Avalanche has that black yellow theme. Did I make a pack out of it? Nah, I didn't make the cut. I don't think it'll make it for next season either. I don't think you need that colorway. And how is this one over here? This is the same as this. Yes. I don't know how that. What's different about that one up there? It's red eyelets. Oh, blue eyelets here. So let's see which one. This one made the cut. Note the difference between this and this. This one has the popped red eyelets in the final that was actually selected. Doesn't. So let's do another one. Let's actually so we're switching over to another brand. Maybe won't go through these in detail. This is going into Giza, my own collection, and this is a cross trainer called the Hero, and this is actually the heavy duty version of it. You get the Hero and you have the Mythos. The Hero is built to be a little sturdier than the Mythos. Mythos is almost like an after workout fitness shoe made for the gym, cross trainer. And you can see the same thought process going on. Usually, so when I'm doing colorways, if I get sometimes, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this 25 pages, panels to try to shake out the top colors? Colors start flying everywhere as I'm basically spinning this thing. Where's the original final line drawing? This is the second season of the Hero. So the original final line drawing was developed in, say, fall 2018. These are spring 2019 colorways. So the original final line drawing is on another panel. You'll understand what I'm saying when I show you another shoe as it developed over 3 seasons, the Mythos. So anyway, I'm spinning these shoes here, looking for colors. I'll put a red box around the ones that I finally select as I'm shaking them out. Do I need I think we end up going with an all black and all white. Whether or not we adopted it to production, I don't think we did. We definitely didn't. Although this would have been great in all black. The Hero is a really good shoe. So I will do this. Next delivery for the Hero, but I didn't go to production because I thought it was too maybe dry, although you always sell black, all black. You always sell all white. All white, I think, is the #1 selling color combination. All black is #2. They run competition with each other. I ended up going in these directions. We bought this. You can buy this online. You can buy this online with the yellow, with the red squares around it. You can, this ends up being our acid yellow. But you know, Giza has an acid yellow. This is an acid lime. I ordered this, but we didn't get it for production. We did get this one. I selected this. I sent it to prototype. I don't think they could get this colorway. We have these for sale. This sells like nobody's business. The black and white version of the Hero. This is the multicolor Hero. This is how it was developed. And these are, I think this is the original colorway. I built that the season before. I don't know why this is going on here. And we bought these, and this is the season before as well. Maybe these are a reference or something. This magenta we never did. We did magenta this way with magenta and red panels. This is a pretty cool color combination. We did it in women's, you know, kind of a sick color combo. But there were some versions of that didn't make the cut. That didn't, you know, magenta without the white midsole, magenta with black. Not bad, worth leaving on the page, but did I color it? Nah. I remember presenting these to DTLR as special makeups. This one here, but we never went to production with that. I think this was like a Superman inspired color. We did this too. When they started to buy it, I never ordered it. This is the Carolina color. This is the multicolor Hero, which a lot of people were. I mean, go to our Instagram, Giza Olympius at Giza Olympius on Instagram. You see a lot of people wearing this one. This color is popular. But it went through some variations before it got there. The Carolina gray midsole was, I tried it in royal blue. This orange one is nice. I never ordered it. Let me not get into the weeds so you can see the thought process. This colorway we did prototypes. I never ordered it. I get a lot of demand for this one, a lot of requests for this for production. We protoed this but never built it. Never went to production with it. And I like that color combination. This is kind of like it's a 90s color combo. White with orange and like charcoal gray. There's a little touch of black on there. You see the black Thunderbolt, black outsole pads. That's a 90s color combo. I probably got into, hopefully on this episode I get into the philosophy. I'm sure I did get into the philosophy of the eras of colorways, and so if you're aware of what's been done, you know how to constantly push the envelope to something new. But sometimes something old still works well. You know, per black, per white, per black, white, red, white, blue, still works. But you know, sometimes you just want to explore for something totally new. So let's go into Mythos. The Mythos was delivered for my own brand again as well. This is the light duty cross trainer, and these were the first colorways I did for fall 2018, and I kept it direct to the point. I went straight for this actually shoe was delivered. You can see it in our line sheet. This is the black. This is the CAD for the all black with the charcoal gray Thunderbolt. That sells pretty well. You'll see this on the opening of of SneakerUniversity this show. This was I don't even remember this colorway because I never built it. I think this was charcoal gray with ash gray. I believe that's what that is. Charcoal gray with ash gray. I remember seeing a first round prototype that never went to production. This is ash gray with charcoal gray. I don't think we went to production with that. I know we purchased, I ended up buying the black, I ended up buying the red, white, and blue with the red here. And I'm struggling to remember what else we delivered for 2018. Those probably were the only two colors. Here's a cream with tan, all white midsole. Kind of boring, huh? Yeah. This colorway is popular. This is one of our popular colorways. And this style is a big style for us, but the first deliveries I played it safe. But the next season, I had to add colorways to that palette, and I discovered some formulas that I hadn't been aware of. I wasn't aware of when I did it the first season, right? It kind of was. It's not even. This didn't open up the formula for me. This navy blue, it's red, white, and blue again. Favorite combination of Cyrus. You know what I mean? These are the colors I personally wear: red, white, and blue. But it wasn't this colorway that helped me discover these. This colorway combination kind of discovered itself. Just when I dug a little deeper into the color, I realized the shoe could do this. It could do this. All of these are really popular color combinations for Giza. Could do that. Could do this. There's the Nipsey Blue. How that was developed. You know, it's a formula, and that formula in this particular shoe was dangerous. And then I discovered some other things. I realized that, okay, you know, outside of that formula, you know, trying to come up with some women's colors, it could take two what I would call tertiary colors at the same time. If this is primary, this is basically primary color with black and white. You know, primary color with one primary, and then basic black and white was the original formula, the second formula for the mythos. But then I started to realize, man, it takes two tertiary colors together the same way. It kind of starts getting very interesting. And I'm playing around. This one's got three. This was a colorway we didn't go to production with on accident. This was a color we did in Hero, and I like this because it's original. Now I'm I'm pushing the envelope on color combinations that you've never seen. This is, and I'll show this after the video, so you can see all the colorways that I've shown here. I'll show after the video. This is a green family, almost like a pine green with aqua and pink. You know, which was kind of green. It was a whole thing going on around 2015, 2016, 2017 with I don't want to say Christmas colors or the family of Christmas colors, because usually in fashion you don't add red and green together unless you're the most famous couture brand of all, because it looks like Christmas colors. But then people started to play with greens, the family of green and the family of red. You know, so pink is in the family of red, so you can mix that with mint, which is in the family of green, and it was, you know, and it works. No one did this, so it was a fresh color combination I discovered. But you see that the shoe starts to reveal itself how it would like to be colored. Anyone that knows the brand, I mean, tab to get some of these windows out of the way, remembers these colorways. And then I went another season, so this is spring 2019, so we went from fall 2018, spring 2019, and the season after fall 2019, and I started discovering even more of the mythos. And again, not going into all the details, look at the exploration of gray with navy blue here. You know, you want to have a navy blue Thunderbolt or a white one. You know, didn't even make the cut. This one here is the way it was. Not the navy white midsole, but the white navy midsole with the white Thunderbolt made the cut. This is all ash gray with navy blue. But you know, exploration of gray, multiple different ways. Exploration of the different whites. So this is white with silver. And I'm gonna zoom in so you can see it. White with silver doesn't want to be green, accented with the Thunderbolt. Red or burgundy, you know, or orange. Ultimately, it wanted to be white and silver is a women's colorway, and it ended up being you see the red squares around the ones that made it. And these are famous shoes. There's pink with red detail, silver outsole pops, navy outsole pads, which is kind of like a light multicolor. Somehow the tongue logo jumped off of this one. Is a banger, dead ringer. Let me zoom back out again. Also, I was playing around with where I would do these outsole color pops. I started to play with gold with white, or gold, white midsole, gold color pops on the sidewalls. To me, that was like, that's totally different. And I get to get into my Olympic bag, which is the red, white, basically in the red, white, and blue families, and throwing my different colors that I know I learned how to mix in with red, white, and blue. But these gold panels, this is a whole nother animal. Which way does it want to work best, white or blue? Well, both end up making the cut. But you can see down here, I'm exploring yellow, I'm exploring burgundy, I'm exploring gray. Didn't make the cut in gold, right? Didn't make the cut. Burgundy, there's a bold burgundy version. No red boxes around burgundy color panels because I'm not going to just, like I said, I'm not going to build every colorway. I'm going to build the best of the colors that I can come up with. So as I zoom into, and this is there's a lot of little things. So these ones on the outside of this field, they all fell off. That's how many fell off. As we get into the ones that actually made the cut, see the gray exploration, but I went here. This stuff is spinning off colors all over here. There's a couple burgundies, none of them made the cut. I went with the orange. It's kind of a crazy colorway for me. Orange, well, black midsole, white pops, kind of different. I got some good feedback on that. I think there were some people looking for that. But this white with the silver and pink, phenomenal. This navy over here is interesting. This is a pretty cool color combination. Let me come over into this corner over here of colors. This is kind of like a dark sky. What would I call this color? It's like a weird, like almost like a cerulean. Not cerulean. It's like a strange steel bluish family color with navy, white midsole with navy pops with the red. Sick. This one made the cut, versus the white Thunderbolt or the red Thunderbolt. Which all of these are nice, but you gotta be able to think about it, look at them, stare at them, sleep on it, whatever you do, but know which one is the better way to go, and don't be wrong. That's a skill in itself. And then look what came out of here. Look at this colorway. And when you look at the final version, that shoe was hard. Look at this one. Sick. When I actually painted it, man, this colorway is gonna be hot forever. So that shows you, and I'm gonna close with that. That shows you how you can develop your colorways over the course of seasons, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's weird how colorways come about. There's really no formula for it except for its exploration. And they begin to spin off, and you got to know how to, when you're coloring one thing, stop. Hey, is that? Did I discover something new? Oh, let me put this over here, and then zero in on the one that wins. It's definitely, there's a skill to it. Finally, in closing, I want to leave you with some wisdom that is very important to develop an eye. You have to be able to develop an eye for determining the difference between something that's good and something that's bad. Whether you're developing a thumbnail, or lines on your engineering drawing, or selecting the colorway. The difference between a good designer and a great designer or a bad designer is the one that actually knows and can see that this is good, this is not good, this is a little better, this thumbnail, right? Because someone with an eye can come over and, view someone's thumbnails who doesn't have an eye. The person that doesn't have an eye is busy building something that is not going to work and passed over a great idea that they drew. And the person with the eye immediately sees the person doesn't see it, and will take it from you because you don't know the difference. It's the same thing that causes, one person to come into a store. I can go into a store anywhere, and it takes me about 5 minutes to spot the steals. This is fire. And usually when I go over to it, what always happens, I ask for my size, and that's sold out. Oh yeah, I knew it was. Other people, they come in, they can't see. They're picking the wrong stuff. They walk right past the item. Unless somebody told them this is hot, you got to buy it. Everybody's buying it. That eye, you have to develop if you're going to be a designer. And the sooner you do it, the better. Either you have it or you don't. Sometimes you can, you should be able to develop it. And that's absolutely key in this part in terms of colorways. Because if you don't know where to put your color, your ability to create a great color is going to be handicapped. So you want to work on that. You got to think about it, kind of think and concentrate and you can usually sense it. It's almost like a sixth sense that you can say, this is perfect. I think I developed it as a painter. There's somebody used to say that a painter needs someone close to him to tell him when to stop. It's done. And a real painter usually will develop, an artist will usually develop that. Okay, it has everything that it needs, leave it alone. That same thing, that eye that you develop, you parlay that over into sneaker design so you know. And those are my words of wisdom. Hope you enjoyed this episode and you can draw something from it. Go back, play it over again, get this stuff down, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to close by playing a video. Shout out to my sister, very supportive of the brand, Comfort Fidoki. Yeah, if you don't know. I got the flow. Yeah. But everyone who's looking down on me, check out my shows. Forget everything you heard about me. I think you confused. Nipsey Blue. Y'all only support the people y'all don't know, so why make the noise?